Welcome to Fluent Inspections Radio, where we hope you enjoy stress-free home buying, home selling, and home ownership. I'm your host, Brian Botch, owner of Fluent Inspections. I'm joined today by Bill Beck. We're both licensed professional inspectors here in the state of Texas, where we inspect homes of all shapes and sizes. So, Bill, here we are, podcast time again. How was your week?
It was nice. It was. It's starting to be fall now. The last time we talked, I don't think we were there yet. So it's been starting to cool down. Got some rain. Looks like we're getting some storms coming in.
Yeah.
It's been definitely cold up north of us, but no, it's been nice to see
the cold
season's
weather
coming.
has been nice.
It's been nice.
It's been very nice.
It also makes you realize that the holidays are coming and all that. But no, it's been a good week.
Well, I've got some good news. Our little community is growing, Bill.
We're going big time.
We're hitting the big time. So if you out there are listening to us today on iHeartRadio, we welcome you. And you're in for a treat, as Bill likes to say. We've been told we're mildly entertaining.
Just mildly.
So we also plan to start adding other shows to this little platform that we started here. They'll all be related to your home in some way. So if anybody out there knows any other podcasters or folks that have a show related to homes, home improvement, gardening, anything like that, just get in contact with us. Let us know. We'd love to talk to them and learn a little bit more about what they're doing.
That's cool.
It is cool. Yeah.
Wow, our little show's getting bigger.
It's getting bigger and bigger.
We have the channel.
We're going to be mildly famous.
Right. I swear there's going to be a meme out there somewhere of the three of us doing something stupid.
That's fine.
And my daughters are going to be playing it over and over and over and over and over again.
So, Bill, we are going to talk today on this particular podcast about luxury homes. Luxury homes. I'm going to start with a story about a luxury home.
Before you get started, what constitutes a luxury home, in your opinion?
So that's a good question, right? So a lot of people have a lot of different opinions of what that is. In our definition, it is anything over about 4,000 square feet.
Okay.
Okay.
I immediately got the Beverly Hillbilly song stuck in my head thinking about this. With the cement pond.
I like that.
Well, the first thing you know...
That's copyrighted. You can't sing that.
Oh,
sorry. So, Bill, Kelly, you guys remember that beautiful lake home, that $1 million lake home we inspected down in Lake Whitney?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a nice home.
Yeah. Well, there was a couple back in 2007 that bought a absolutely beautiful lake home overlooking a cliff on Lake Whitney. You guys remember this?
No, but I can guess where this might be going.
Yeah. So they purchased this home. It was their dream home. They had a deck overlooking the lake, beautiful view, great lake effect, breezes, sitting in the afternoon. And it's $700,000 house in $2007. Mm-hmm. And one day they noticed a crack in the foundation. And they started to get this evaluated. Now, this is a 10,000 square foot home. It's
modest home.
Modest home.
Yeah, modest.
It's built right up on the bluff. The deck actually goes out over the cliff, overlooking the lake. Absolutely beautiful. Hmm. And a few days after they noticed the crack, part of the foundation actually sheared off and the backside of their house slid down the cliff.
Yeah, you see this a lot in the Northwest. In the Northwest, you saw that a lot when there was big rainstorms and stuff, and the hill would give out, and you would lose half your house to the hill.
Yeah. So even bigger tragedy, the insurance company denied their claim, at least initially.
Oh.
Why?
I don't know. The story said the insurance company denied their claim. Now, they may have since had some recourse, I'm not sure, but really kind of builds on what we talked about last week, right, with foundations and some of the things going on there. But they had a really sort of unique way to deal with it. So the municipality came in and condemned the house, said, hey,
obviously,
sorry, you guys can't live here. It's unsafe.
You just can't just nail plywood up on the whatever was left and live in the.
I've seen people do that.
Live in the extra 5,000 square feet that you had in the front of the house.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work.
Said you wanted beachfront properties.
So what they did, instead of a traditional demolition, they soaked hail bays in diesel fuel, stuck it in the garage, lit that baby up.
You know, I've actually heard of this before. Where fire departments will take condemned houses and they'll do a controlled burn on them so they can practice putting the fires out.
Yeah, kind of the same thing, right? So $700,000, which in today's money would be about an $871,000 dream home.
Did they do this to get rid of the house, or did they do this to get an insurance claim?
No, they did it on purpose. Okay, this was how they decided to demolish the house, because it was so many things going on with it. It was right on the edge of the cliff. The cliff was unstable.
Did they bring s'mores
in? They might have. I don't know. That's
s'mores would be important.
Wow. Well, that's a shame.
Total shame.
Don't know if I would have wanted to inspect that house either, because, I mean, if it hadn't cracked yet, you probably wouldn't have ever seen it, or even you would have looked at what you had there.
Right, because it probably happened just suddenly.
Oh, I'm sure it did. It probably was due to weather or rain
or erosion. I would assume.
It could be a lot of things.
Yeah. So obviously, tragedy can befall you even if you have a luxury home.
This is true,
and makes home inspections obviously an important part of your purchase decision.
Yeah. If I could give a bit of advice, consumer advice, I would go for quality over quantity as far as square footage goes. I would rather pay more per square foot for a smaller house than pay less for a larger house, or pay less per square foot for a larger house, because I think you might have a little bit more control over the quality that's going into the home.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. There's a lot that goes into that, though. It's not just the quality of the home, neighborhood, everything else factors.
Right, and obviously the contractor, and
Yeah.
So obviously the contractor. That's the big one.
All right. So remember, you can always tweet at us at HouseFluent. Use that hashtag #MyHomeQuestion. We try and get to those on the show. You can find us on Facebook or at Instagram or at housefluent.com. All right, so Bill, when it comes to inspecting luxury homes, they have their own challenges. Obviously, location, being one of them. Oftentimes, they are built in scenic locations, and that makes the terrain, the landscape, the grading and drainage that adds some challenges sometimes to inspecting those homes, along with other things. So, what are some of the challenges that you typically see when it comes to these large, expensive homes?
Overall, I wouldn't say there's a major difference between a regular home and a luxury home, other than mostly size. It's usually just more of everything. I mean, it's just more appliances, more air conditioning units. For the most part, the construction's very similar. You have more high-end materials used,
Sure.
In the interior and floors and that kind of stuff, and trim, a lot more trim work, woodwork. But overall, it's still a house. It's just bigger. We've seen some of them where the house itself takes up the entire lot, so there's almost no yard.
Sure,
because the footprint's so big.
Yeah. So this is a fairly good size of our business, is inspecting these luxury homes. And from my perspective, one of the things that's different is they tend to be more complicated, right? So if you don't have somebody coming in to inspect them that's really knowledgeable about the different systems going on in a home, you just mentioned it, right? Multiple HVAC units. You often have roofs that are not only larger, but multiple pitches, different elevations.
Bill loved those.
Oh, yeah. Things being tied together in complicated valleys.
Materials used. I mean, even roofs, you could have tile, you could have slate, you could have...
Sure.
We don't see a lot of those, but yeah, composite. They're usually very high pitched, very steep, more for a look. But I mean, that's typically what you see on those.
Sure.
You see a lot more stucco. You see a lot more. There's more things that I guess could go wrong just because there's a lot more of everything. It's obviously more time for us to do a big house like that.
Sure.
You literally need a small team to do a house like that.
And we do, right? We bring a team. Many times, even though we're doing termite inspections in-house, many times on a house like that, just in order to be able to get through it, right, we'll bring you, myself, a third-party termite person. On a really, really big luxury home, we've even gotten to the point where we've, considered bringing out licensed HVAC techs, roofing folks, just so that we can have specialists in those areas really take a good hard look at that specific area. And, we recently did an estimate for somebody in a very high-end part of town here. They were buying a $3.5 million home. And that estimate included us bringing out a structural engineer to test the foundation. So, when it comes to luxury homes, there's a lot that can be done. And, it's just a matter of really what needs to be done, I guess.
And we've also run into people who are buyers who don't think they need an inspection on a high-end luxury home because the house is so well maintained. And I would say to them, there's still a lot of stuff that is not being looked at. It's stuff that you don't see. Yes, they probably have someone come in servicing their HVAC. They have someone servicing a lot of stuff, but that's still not going to do anything for your structure. They're not looking at your roof. They're not looking at, for cracks, especially on houses like those where you have a lot of stonework and, mortar deterioration.
Sure.
That kind of stuff. So, I wouldn't say you don't need an inspection on a house like that. You probably need one even more because there's so much more to look at and just things that aren't seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Recently we looked at a home in a part of DFW that, again, a very, very high-end neighborhood. And this house was very well maintained, very meticulous homeowners. The jacuzzi tub didn't work. The air conditioning system, it had multiple air conditioning systems. One of them didn't work. The other one was leaking out of the secondary drain.
Yep.
And very meticulously maintained home.
That's a good point you bring up because there's a lot of high-end homes like that where there's a lot of rooms that never get used. There's a lot of bathrooms that never get used, showers that never get used.
True.
A lot of areas that just go completely unseen for years. So a lot of times there's issues with just that. It just hasn't been used at all. And you see that a lot with those high-end homes. Just because in a lot of cases, this is more house than you needed. But
sure.
So that's another thing. Good point to bring up.
Yeah, you also start seeing premium appliances, right? So we see a lot of Wolf appliances, a lot of these sort of high-end appliances that are different to operate. As crazy as that sounds, they're different to operate. We see a lot of, Sub-Zero fridges and freezers and things that are built in, and you see a lot more of them, right? So you may have a butler's pantry with additional
more
appliances, right? There's a lot more that kind of goes into that really you need to take a look at. So if you're buying a luxury home and it's got, for example, a butler's pantry with, say, additional dishwashers and things like that, but you don't really have a butler per se, right? How often does that really get used? Just like you mentioned, there's rooms that, never get used. Also, there's appliances that never get used, and those things need to be tested.
Yeah, and it's just, they just don't get used as the big thing. It's kind of like a new house in a lot of cases. And sometimes it's just, because it hasn't been used, it doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
It's kind of like jacuzzi tubs, and you turn them on and mud comes shooting out because they literally haven't used them in years. And
that's right.
And you see that a lot. The other thing you see, the difference between a lot of luxury homes is doors. You have a lot bigger doors,
more complicated doors,
accordion type doors that go out onto the patios.
That's right. More glass,
complicated doors that sometimes work as advertised. Once again, stuff that doesn't probably get used a lot, and that type of stuff you see a lot of issues with a lot of times.
Yeah, not just doors, but blinds that open and close from a main control panel.
Even on brand new houses. Yeah, even on brand new houses, you see issues with those just because they haven't been used. Yeah, the blinds is a whole other one. You hit a switch and one thinking it's going to do something and it's doing the whole house or another room, or you can't figure out the room it's supposed to be doing. That's why I like smart homes so much.
That's only one of the reasons why.
Yeah, it's probably really smart if you actually know how to use it correctly. But there's no driver's manual, owner's manual for a lot of this stuff, so you're kind of having to figure it out.